My goal is to move Wausau in a positive direction and create success. We need to move forward toward new opportunities and work to make our economy strong.
We want to have a good, healthy discussion of moving Wausau and transforming Wausau into a 21st century economy. We've had our 19th century economy, we've had our 20th century economy. I can elaborate on those later, but we really now need to make that move into the 21st century.
Listening to my colleagues explain how there has been a lack of leadership in City Hall is about the best argument to vote for Jay Cronenwetter that I've heard in this election. We have three gentlemen who have been members of City Council who have had a vote and who have been participating in all of the backbiting, backroom deals, corruption, if you will, through their passive inattention or active participation.
You know, as an architect, I'm forced to deal with different people, different skill sets. And I'm meant to guide them and direct them, but I allow them to use their expertise to come up with a solution. Then you put that together and you implement it. I think that's what has to happen at City Hall, to use that style of asking people and letting them give you both the positives and negatives of each situation. That's what's required. Otherwise, you're going to get this slanted view that accomplishes what people or what staff think needs to go forward. But when the council comes together, they debate it, they want all the information, whether it's positive or negative. Then the decision can be made. And the mayor has to allow that to happen and ask for that and ask for all of that information to be presented.
The city is changing. You have to take a look at where the city has come from and where we want to go. So there's kind of a dynamic mix there where we want to try and bring our, what's they call the millennials back, but we also want to try and keep it small hometown feeling too. And that's kind of a tricky path to walk. What we have to do is to make sure that we build our infrastructure here. Everybody here deserves good schools, which we've got. We deserve good roads. We deserve the greatest municipal support that we have here in central Wisconsin.
We really need to be looking at the downtown development as a whole. We've got this separate piece that we're talking about, the residential development on the riverfront. We're talking about the mall redevelopment. It really is all one. We need to bring in both people and jobs to the downtown, and we need to have a healthy discussion of that.
I'm very concerned about the number of dollars that we are devoting towards retail, including the mall, because those jobs are service jobs and they fill in with other retail. Now that's a big facility in the mall, but I really question putting that many dollars to that type of structure.
The mall really needs to be repurposed, and working with CBL to keep it an old-fashioned retail mall is the wrong direction. So what we need to do particularly is if I ask how many of you would like to see a movie theater in that mall? I mean, see, when I see hands go up like that, I know that a movie theater will generate foot traffic. So what we really ought to do is buy half of Sears's building, and Sears is thinking about leaving, but they do have profitable lines. They have tools, they have automotive, and they have the appliance line. People still like those, but let them keep those lines, turn the rest of that store into a movie theater. Then we should move on, and we should try and keep Yonkers where it is with its current landlord. We may have to put some money into that. And then the third thing we should really do is we should look at that JCPenney space as well as the Masonic Temple across, that's empty, connect those two with a skywalk and put in first-class office space. That has to be the mate for all the high-end housing that we're bringing downtown. We need to have high-end jobs. And where are we going to get those jobs from? We really ought to market to all those organizations that service so lawyers, contractors, consultants of all types who serve municipalities throughout Wisconsin.
All of the information is there. Take this for the mall. Why wouldn't we use 4.1 millions, put it out in an RFP, and see what we get as far as retailers that might look at that space? You give them the same deal, and that's municipal government required to bid. Why don't we put that out there and see? We may be surprised at what walks through the door and says, I will take that space. Then we got too many.
Has anybody here gone to City Hall lately? Yeah, what's your impression of when you walk in there? It's fine? Yeah. Cold and lonely, and yeah, not very welcoming there. Having been on both ends of this, both ends that where we see where things have come down from City Hall as a city employee, where it's come down. One of the things you got to take a look at as far as morale is concerned is you've got a very good group of people that are working there, from your police chief to your streets person to your water sanitation and stuff. They are very knowledgeable and they do very well at their jobs. I don't think that they are actually being appreciated for what they are doing.
The best ability that I've had since I've been in office is I do have that ability to reach out and work with just about anybody. I have a calm demeanor. I treat people with respect and civility. I think the world of our city staff, and I think at times they're unfairly portrayed out in the media and the public. These are good people working for us, and they should be treated as such. Are there issues and problems? Yes. But part of the problem is, like some of the other gentlemen have alluded to, there has been a lack of leadership. There's been a lack of accountability at times, and some people have just, for lack of a better way of putting it, kind of run wild. That will not happen under my leadership. I'm a hands-on leader, always have been, but I have that ability to reach out, to find common solutions, to work well with anybody, to work together in a cooperative, decent, respectful type of way. I think part of the problem with the morale at City Hall right now is there's been a lack of direction. There hasn't been any leadership, and it's been going on for far too long. And I really believe that I can bring that back and get that morale back. I deal with the city employees all the time. I have an excellent relationship with just about all of them. They know they can come to me in an open manner. They know that they can speak to me in an honest way, and I'm going to try to find a solution to work, not just for them, but also for the residents. And I think that's part of what we got to do is get back and work in that sense of cooperation with one another to make things work effectively for the city. Because let's face it, folks, we got some problems, we need to get it fixed. But I want to make things positive. We got a lot of good things here with our city staff and with the city itself. And I really wish sometimes that would be brought out more than just all the negativity.
I would suggest if you want to improve morale in City Hall, you need to change the players who are running City Hall. These men cannot now run from their record. And what they need to do to address morale more than anything is address conflicts of interest throughout our city government. One of my colleagues just recently mentioned the Entrepreneurial Center as something he is especially proud of. Well, I'm quite concerned that we have a member of City Council who requests funding for the Entrepreneurial Center at committee meetings while also working for the Entrepreneurial Center and running the show. I think that is maybe too close for comfort. Maybe we need to have more protections to guard against conflicts of interest built into something like the Entrepreneurial Center.
Speak in support of Mr. Cronenwetter. He is correct. There is a member of the council who is employed at the, runs the Entrepreneurship Center. One of the first votes that I objected to being on the council in 2012 was that person cast the deciding 6-5 vote in favor of a controversial budget that gave the Entrepreneurial Center $90,000 in loan forgiveness because it was that much in debt to the city. I voted no on that. I voted no consistently on those budgets, so my voting record is clear.
Mr. Overbeck does not run the Entrepreneurial Center. I know that. He is not the individual I was talking about drawing salary from the Entrepreneurial Center. I did not mean to imply that whatsoever. He is, however, an individual who voted to give the Entrepreneurial Center that money after the fellow who runs it asked for it at the committee meeting. And that fellow is also a city council member. That lack of judgment is what I was raising here.
I'll give you another example of where I raised the objection. We have a member of the Water Commission who is the marketing director for Betcher Hoppy. And Betcher Hoppy is the consultant for water and wastewater treatment plants. Well, how can any other engineering firm feel like they can come forward? How can that person, being the marketing director of Betcher Hoppy, actually critique the work that they do for us in a fair way? That stuff should end. I pursued that ethics complaint, and I was told it was completely ethical. That's what happens at City Hall.
I also believe that our interactions with McDevco, with the Chamber of Commerce, with Central Wausau Planning, which all happen to be the same organization, mind you, our interactions with that organization have become far too close and cozy, and too many meetings and decisions are made behind closed doors involving city leaders and these figures in these private entities. Now, I as mayor will work vigorously to stop that, to make sure that all planning and decision-making processes are done out in the open, and make sure that the mayor is worried, as these men claim to be, is worried about the employees of the city and the residents of the city, and not big money special interests who have been calling the shots to this point.
Very honestly and respectfully towards Jay, it's a lot easier on the outside looking in than what is reality. And Jay has brought this up before, and respectfully, Jay, that's not the case. And you bring up as far as what's going on with this investigation. And even I've got to admit, I think something has gone a little bit too far with it. When I brought it forward, it was to defend a city employee from a threat, not just a simple, oops, I said the S word type of thing, but a threat to wipe out his job and his department, and it wasn't the first time. And I would suggest to you as showing true leadership. Had I not done anything, I'd be accused of covering up for a council member, because that's been happening before. I went forward, I did the right thing, and tried to find out the facts as far as what happened in this specific incident regarding our transportation director. Do I think things have gotten out of hand? Yes. I did not cause that, though. I tried to do the right thing. Hopefully the issue will get resolved. So we do watch out for the residents. We do take care of them, and we take your thoughts and your concerns in consideration. And it's just sometimes easier for folks on the outside thinking, oh, you guys are just doing this, or you're corrupt or whatever. That's not the case, folks. We really do try to watch out for everybody and how money is spent and how things are done.
Way down there at the Denmark. It's bad, and I can tell you when you take a look here at the park, when I can come through here, when I was in my squad, when I can come through here right next to the youth building, and I've got a young man with his pants down around his knees, sitting there, and he's got a full load of methamphetamine sitting next to him, and he's got an empty load of methamphetamine sitting next to him. Something's wrong with this city. And it's not, by that I mean we got a drug problem. To walk through the city and see empty syringes down here, I got to the point where as a police officer, I was afraid to touch somebody because I was afraid of getting a needle in the hand and not knowing what this person has. I mean, there's times where you're horrified because you've got people who are just so deathly sick from the crap that they're putting in their body. This city does not deserve that kind of atmosphere here. This is a great city. I moved up here in 2002. My kids are in public school here. We got the best public schools in the world up here. We've got a top-notch community up here. We need to get that scourge out of there. The police department has to be able to take their gloves off and deal with this wholeheartedly and deal with it swiftly and decisively before we start losing more and more young lives and old lives that are here that get hooked on it.
I was the candidate who brought up our severe lack of mental health treatment options in this town as an issue in this race. And I believe our community, depending on the study you look at, is at least 8 to 10 full-time professionals short of having a full stock of psychiatrists in this town. People to deal with all range of mental health problems. It's not just the hard drugs. Alcohol destroys more lives in this town than any hard drug. I guarantee that. In addition, we have depression issues, anxiety issues with increasing frequency in this town. Amazingly high percentages of our neighbors have some form of mental illness. But because we do not have the treatment options in town, our city leaders to this point have been silent. They've passed the buck to county government or state government, said, hey, that's handled by some other department, it's not our problem. Well, I would suggest, while so many of our neighbors are dying from from overdoses, from suicide, and the like. It is a Wausau problem. It is something City Hall must address. And I will work vigorously to coordinate all levels of government in this area to ensure we increase the number of mental health professionals in town and the ability of our citizens to access them.